Thank you. Again, my name is Clint Van Dyne. My company is Triad Research Group. We're a marketing research firm. We do a lot of private sector work, customer satisfaction for healthcare, financial products and services, power utilities, and we also do a considerable amount of work in the public sector. And school districts, colleges, universities, cities, municipalities, park districts. And we've actually worked with Beechwood in the past. And so I was quite happy when I got the call to help out with this project. And so let's jump right into the methodology. The objectives of the research were to gather the thoughts and opinions of local residents regarding the aging facilities currently operating in the district, namely Bryden and Hilltop, and what should be done with these facilities. And early on, when we first started discussing this, it was made clear to me that we want to cast a broad net and be inclusive of everyone in the community, not voters, not parents, but everyone that resides in the district. So we launched a quantitative survey, and it was primarily online. And we were lucky enough to have the Beechwood Buzz at our disposal. And that's what we use that primarily to distribute invitations. And I don't know if I'm sure you're familiar with the Buzz, but it is delivered to every single address in the city of Beechwood, residential and commercial. And I'm going to show you here in a moment the invitations, but the data was collected between July 27th and August 15th of this year. The survey ran about 6 minutes in length. And let me just flip to the next screen to show you. Here are the invitations that went out. The Beechwood Buzz itself had 3 pieces. There was a half-page ad that you see, hopefully you can see it on your left. There was a little blurb in the school section at the top there on the left panel, and then there was also a postcard insert. And you probably can't see it from where you're at, but not only did we want to cast a broad net, we wanted to give residents multiple opportunities to respond, or multiple ways. So they could have scanned the QR code with their smartphones, and it would take them to the survey. They could input a URL, which is listed there in that text, if they wanted to take it at their computer. Or for those who would prefer a telephone survey, there was a number there that they could call, and they could complete the survey over the phone. We only had 2 individuals do that, but it was there. It was available if they wanted to do it. There was also an article in the Cleveland Jewish News that referenced the survey, provided the link. And then it was put out through the district's Facebook page and Twitter. So we hit social media. And in addition to that, I'm going to go back. We had, there was a link posted on the district's website, and we utilized the email database that is available. And it's primarily, I believe, parents. But we used all of these methods to send out invitations, and we had what I think is a very, very good response rate. We had a sample size of 564 complete the surveys, and you see that 562 of them were online, the 2 telephone I mentioned. The only screening criteria we used, we had to be an adult, and you had to reside within the district. I think that all told, we screened out maybe somewhere around 20 individuals that responded, but they indicated they did not live in the school district, so their results are not included in this. So a sample size of 564 gives us a margin of error of 4.1. I'm very happy with that. Typically speaking, we go for an industry standard of plus or minus 5%, and in order to achieve that, you need a sample size of 384. And you can see we far exceeded that. So what does that mean? It means that our margin of error is smaller, our sample is more reliable. Okay, let's take a look at who responded. 64% of the respondents were female, 30% were male. There was a handful, 6%, that preferred not to answer and or preferred to self-describe. What I can tell you is this is what we typically see in survey research. 60-40, 70-30 towards female. I'm not exactly sure, but I can tell you that when we ask for household decision makers, it's usually females. We didn't ask for it in this case, but that's the way it turned out. So I was, that is something I'm very used to seeing, that distribution. We also ask age, and you can see that we have very nice age distribution as well. We have the bulk of the respondents were 35 to 44, 45 to 54, and we have some older individuals as well. Not as many younger, but again, that's typical for survey research, depending on the topic. And what I can tell you is our sample frame was the elements are very complementary here. We had a large, I don't know if it was a majority, but a bulk of them came from the Beechwood Buzz, the older individuals. The emails generated responses from those 35 to 54. And then the social media posts, we got obviously some younger folks came in through that way, and but they were across the board. You had older individuals too that are clicked the social media links. 66% of the respondents have children under the 18 living in their household. 34% do not. Of those who had children in the household, we asked them, do you have any children enrolled in the Beechwood City Schools? If so, which particular schools? And you can see 22% have high school students, 21% middle school students, 26% have a student at Hilltop, 18 at Bryden, and 5% at Fairmount. And 6% have no children in Beechwood City Schools. So if you look at it this way, if you factor in the 34% who do not have children, we have about 40% do not have children in the Beechwood City Schools, 60% do. So it's a very nice cross-section. I'm very happy with this. We didn't ask a lot of demographics, but what we did, I'm very happy with the way it turned out. In other words, we're not just hearing from parents. Okay, we wanted to learn a little bit more about the respondents and their familiarity with the schools and their involvement with the schools. One of the questions we asked was, which of the following schools would you say is closest to your home? We had 38% living closest to Hilltop, 34 closest to Bryden, 23 closest to Fairmount, and not as many living near the high school and middle school. And what I'm told is this is consistent with the residential distribution in the city. So, and it's good that we're not, we don't have one cluster. For example, not everyone, it's not 70% around Hilltop, for example. And also we asked them, when, if ever, was the last time you visited these buildings, Hilltop, Bryden, and Fairmount? We see about half has visited Hilltop and Bryden within the past 2 years. Fairmount, it's been a while. 26% have never visited Fairmount. And again, this question we wanted to know, because we're going to ask them their perception about the conditions and then possible solutions. We want to know what their frame of reference is. Are they relying on old memories, or how familiar are they with the schools? And you can see that, I mean, with 43%, 37%, that's within the past year. They should be somewhat familiar with the conditions of the schools, and we'll look at that here in a moment. And as far as frequency of use, we wanted to see is their familiarity go beyond just school or having a student in school. So we asked, how often would you say you or members of your household use the grounds and facilities at Bryden, Hilltop, and or Fairmount outside of normal school activities? And we see almost half utilize these facilities at least monthly. 17% say they utilize these outside of school at least once a week, 20% a couple times a month, and only 27% said they never use it. So if you think about it, roughly 3/4 use the facilities outside of school. And again, I don't know if I was surprised, but I was encouraged that there was such involvement with these facilities, and I would think that awareness would be quite high. We also asked how informed they were with the schools. How informed would you say you are about the Beechwood City Schools? And we see, what do we have, 92% say that they were somewhat or very informed. And we also asked, what's your source of information? We see number one is Beechwood Buzz, 68%, school mailings, newsletters, 56%, and children in Beechwood schools, 55%. And you might say, Clint, well, of course, Beechwood Buzz is going to be number one because that was your sample source, and emails, which is true. But I can also tell you from past research when we did telephone surveys, which had nothing to do with Beechwood Buzz was number one, and the top three are the top three as they were back in 2014. So yes, the magnitude of the responses are different, but I have no doubt that this is accurate, and I believe that there's a section in the Beechwood Buzz every month. So again, no surprise there, but it's nice to know those are the means by which people are getting information about Beechwood schools. Okay, next we move to perception of current facilities. Based upon personal experience or what you may have heard from others, how would you rate the physical condition of Hilltop, Bryden, and Fairmount? Again, they rated these individually, went through them. Perceptions of elementary schools varied, with approximately 1/2 rating the conditions at Hilltop and Bryden as fair or poor, and approximately 1/3 rating the schools as good or excellent. I don't know if I can get a pointer up on here. Let's see. Can you see that? Okay. There's what I'm talking about here. So we have approximately half rating poor or fair for both Hilltop and Bryden, whereas when you look down here at Fairmount, it's decidedly more positive. Opinions of Fairmount were generally more positive, with 2 out of 3 considering its physical condition to be excellent or good. Okay? And one of the things I mentioned here, the middle bullet says, compared to younger community members, those age 65 plus have a more positive perception of the physical conditions at both Hilltop and Bryden. Now, I pulled that out because that's what emerged in the data as a significant difference. I can speculate that that's because older community members have not been to these facilities as recently as younger. And I can see that in the data. I've cross-tabbed it, and it's true. And so perhaps their frame of reference is schools that are maybe 15 years newer, if you will. Does that make sense? Okay. So attitudes towards proposed solutions. We put this statement in the survey, again, just to lay out the facts. We said, Bryden and Hilltop were built beginning in 1956. A building assessment conducted in 2015 confirmed the building systems are outdated and deteriorating, and the buildings need to be renovated or replaced. A major capital investment is necessary to modernize these facilities, making them efficient, effective, safe, and secure. We're seeking feedback from residents as to how to move forward. A number of ideas have been suggested by members of the community, and we would like your opinion on each. Please indicate the extent to which you agree or disagree with the following suggestions. And here's what we put forth. Hilltop and Bryden should be renovated and kept at their current locations. New buildings should be constructed to replace Hilltop and Bryden at their current locations. And Hilltop, Bryden, and Fairmount should be reduced to 2 school buildings, or they should be reduced to 1 school. The 3 should be reduced to 1 school building. Okay? So we put those statements out there and we said, do you agree or disagree with these statements, and to what extent? And you can see what this graph is showing you is that to the right, the blue is agreed, green is strongly agree, red is strongly disagree, and the orange is disagree. So we see that 47%, I'm going to bounce back and forth between these next 2 slides, by the way, because we asked this question, and then we asked them individually, so the respondents could entertain each of these separately. And then we said, okay, which of these ideas do you think is best for the community? And so compared to other ideas, community members were most likely to agree that Hilltop and Bryden should be renovated and kept at their current locations. Furthermore, when asked directly, this question here that I'm showing you, 32% said this would be the best solution for the community, and support for renovation was greatest among those 65 plus. This was the preferred solution across all age groups and genders, but I'm just saying that for the support is even greater among the most elderly in the sample. The idea of reducing Hilltop, Bryden, and Fairmount to one building generated the most opposition, with 53% disagreeing with this possible solution. And I'm going to flip back up to what I just showed you, and here's what I'm talking about. So if you look at this slide, there's not a big difference here, 21, 19, and 17. But again, we're looking for consistency and patterns. And when you look up here at the agreement scales, it's clear that the least preferred solution would be to reduce to one building. Okay, opinions regarding possible land use. So we made the statement, if the number of elementary schools is reduced, former school sites could be converted to recreational space for community use. Some have suggested that the land could be used for one or more of the following purposes. Please indicate the extent to which you agree or disagree. And it said the land should be converted to, and we put out there biking trails, community garden, community park, dog park, fitness park, large playground area, nature trails, walking paths, and youth sports fields. Let me point out that these were randomized in the survey, so that wasn't that you didn't always see biking trails first, for example. So, and the same for the other questions as well. And these ideas were generated from listening sessions that took place. And the district shared with me. I went through them, and these were the ideas that kind of emerged. And so we put them out there and said, do you agree or disagree? And again, I'm going to flip back and forth because we took the same approach to these two questions. You can see that youth sports fields received the most support, with 60% of agreeing, 24 strongly agree, and 36 agree, followed by community parks and then large playground areas. There was least interest in dog parks, fitness parks, and biking trails. Again, they went through these individually, then we said, okay, of these, in your opinion, which three would be best for the community? And again, it's very consistent. Youth sports fields, 54% had that as one of their top three, community parks and large playground areas. Dog parks, only 3% mentioned that a dog park would be best for the community. And bike trails, 10%, and a fitness park, 12%. And believe it or not, we are at it seems rather abrupt, but the survey was not very deep. We presented what we could at this time to provide some direction. And now I will ask if you have any questions.